Have you ever wondered whether it's actually possible to get 1 trillion coins in Forager? Well, the answer is yes. And if you don't feel like watching the whole video, the short answer and key to achieving this are lighthouses. Lighthouses increase nearby item drops, but what makes them truly powerful is that their effects stack up. So when building a lot of lighthouses, which are all focused on a small area of land, and then mining the land using miner scrolls, you will be able to gather millions and billions of resources quickly, which in turn can be sold at the market, making you a trillionaire. Here are the details and how I got 1 trillion coins in Forager. When I first saw that there is an official achievement to get 1 trillion coins, I thought, is this a joke? Is that actually possible? Well, I guess you could cover the whole map with banks, but even if I had the time and resources to do so, a quick calculation on the back of an envelope showed that this option is not viable. Each island consists of 144 tiles arranged in a 12 by 12 grid. That is, the maximum number of banks per island is 36. With 49 islands available, that makes a total maximum of 1,764 banks in theory. So let's say that each of these banks would generate 3 coins per second. Then it would still take some 6 years to get to a trillion. Smelting gold ore in furnaces and then making coins using forges would have a similar outcome in my estimation, and even crafting and selling other items would be extremely resource and time-intensive. In short, getting to 1 trillion coins seemed practically impossible. The rate at which coins can be generated is simply too slow, especially during the earlier stages of the game. So what was I missing here? Well, as mentioned, later in the game you will have access to lighthouses, which are a real game changer. But first things first. To get to my first million didn't involve any lighthouses at all. A combination of banks and crafting and selling items ensured a slow but steady income, and when I finally purchased my last block of land, I was eager and perhaps crazy enough to accept the challenge and boost my savings. So to get to your first million, I suggest to build a reasonable amount of banks. But don't stress too much because there are other ways which will generate a bit of income too. For example, I thought that cooked fish is a good way to make some easy cash. You will need the fishnet artifact, which you will find in one of the treasure chests, so make sure you solve lots of puzzles and explore the world. With the fishnet, fish traps collect themselves, which means if you build lots of fish traps and set up some furnaces to automatically cook fish, you can craft lots of cooked fish with minimal intervention. It's important to also unlock automation in the skill tree so that crafted items collect themselves, and fishing, so that fishing traps catch things 50% faster. Cooked fish will sell for at least 4 coins or 8 coins when activating the merchant buff. Of course, there are many other items that can be crafted and sold too. For example, I enjoyed producing oil and ice cream, which sells for even more than fish. However, remember that you can automate the catching and cooking fish process. It's basically set and forget. As long as you have enough coal, you will essentially generate passive income, similar to banks. To get to 1 billion is another story, though. To achieve this by banks and selling fish alone would take too long. And this is where the lighthouses come in. Lighthouses increase nearby item drops, but most importantly, their effects stack up. That is, if you build a lot of lighthouses around a small area of land and then summon resources and mine them, it means serious business. I made another video in which I show how easily you can make millions of coins this way, simply by gathering hundreds of thousands of resources quickly with the help of lighthouses and then selling the resources for good money. In fact, I made around 5 million coins by selling just the gold ore of the resources I harvested in less than a minute. And this is how I got from 1 million to 1 billion without too much effort. However, even when making 5 million coins in about 1 minute, to get to 1 trillion would still require over 100 days. Compared to 6 years, this is a great improvement. However, it's still a bit long. So how to get to 1 trillion? Well, the answer is still lighthouses. You just have to go all out. In my other video, I build around 15 lighthouses, but I realized that I could build many more. And so I established another small section of land that was positioned much better, so it could be surrounded by even more lighthouses. It's important to unlock logistics in the skill tree so that lighthouses double the area of effect, allowing you to focus more lighthouses on the same area of land. In total, I ended up building 42 lighthouses. It took quite a bit of glass, bricks, and steel to build all of them, but it was well worth it. For example, I activated the Hoarder buff, and with only 2 minor scrolls, I was able to gather over 8 billion gold ore, which can be sold for at least 4 coins apiece using the merchant buff. That alone is 32 billion coins, not even taking into account other buffs that may increase the selling price, let alone all the other resources I gathered and could sell. In this instance, I sold the gold ore for well over 130 billion coins. Being able to gather resources at such a fantastic speed meant I could finally cross the finish line. All I had to do is repeat this process until I had over 1 trillion coins. To make this all happen required a bit of time, of course. Expanding your base and crafting building materials for furnaces, forges, and lighthouses, for example, will be a massive undertaking. You will also need to upgrade your gear in the process, gain new skills, and collect artifacts. However, we are talking many hours instead of years, making it possible to achieve the 1 trillion coins challenge. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. But most importantly, happy foraging!